Hello, Earthlings. Welcome back. We are back at it like a crack addict, episode 4. How could you want more? Big Buddha podcast in full effect. Live and direct, coming at you from the luxurious kitchen studios here in the legendary Bois, Illinois. My name is Buddha. I am here to help guide you on this little journey we call life in a podcast. You know what I'm saying? I just stream my consciousness and hopefully people connect with it. It's all I can do. You know what I mean? I kind of also just like talking. I'm pretty good at that. I've always gotten in trouble for that in school my whole life, and they call it the gift of gab, so to speak. One of the redeeming qualities I've gotten from my father, for sure. Happy fucking Wednesday. It's been a good day. I didn't do much. It's probably it's been a good day. If I didn't do too much, then I know I had a good day for sure. I smoked a joint today, which is, I've been smoking nothing but glass lately, and so it's kind of nice when you get to go back to your roots a little bit. I don't know, what did you guys start rolling first? Because I learned how to roll blunts first, and then I learned the art of a joint later. To me, blunts are much easier to roll than a joint. Joints are kind of a little more fragile, and there's kind of a more particular way to do it. There's also more different kinds of ways to do it. You either roll a good blunt or you don't. With a joint, I like rolling the cone thing, where you put just a little bit less in one side and then make the other side like a cone, exactly how it sounds. And then they have those cones too, which I really like those also because I'm lazy. I don't always like rolling a joint. Sometimes it takes too much weed. If you just break down 0.7 or something, stuff it down in one of those little cones, it's perfect for a personal situation. I don't know. I don't like sharing hardly at all, but if I have to share, I'm probably gonna roll a blunt. I don't know. In both instances though, I try not to lick the blunt or the joint until the very end, especially the joint. If I have a choice, especially about the blunt too. I understand if the blunt wrap is breaking off and it's stale and falling apart, Swishers a lot. They have more tobacco leaf than a White Owl. A White Owl has more paper in the press, so they can get flaky too, but not as often as a Swisher. And so if you catch a Swisher too late, I understand why people have to lick it before they put the weed in and roll it. But for me, I lick it like an envelope, not a lollipop. That's why I tell people I'm just sealing it and sending it. I don't need to soak my saliva into the I feel that's a much more intimate bonding experience that I'm trying to have with my homie, bro. I was bro, I really don't want to smoke your spit, dog. You just soaked the fuck out of that. Motherfuckers put the whole blunt in their mouth and pull it back out I'm alright, bro, now that has to go through a drying process, and even then just because it's dry, it don't mean your spit's gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna smoke this blunt and pretty much be making out with you or something. But I mean, like I said, there's really only one way to roll a blunt successfully. Make it look nice and neat. And I like trying to make the crease. I want it to look like it came out of some type of package. And I want it to have the crease to be even. The tear line and the lick line has to be even. And I don't know. It takes me too long to roll a blunt though. If my friends are here, Buddha, roll this blunt. They all want the product, but they don't want, they don't want to take the time that it takes to make that finished product. I could roll faster for sure, but if I want to make it right, it's gonna take 5 minutes at the least, just because I want it to look nice. I want it to burn nice. I want to, I don't want it to be all soggy either. So gotta let it dry a little bit, and I don't know. I don't dry with a lighter because you can taste that shit. And I always flatten the tip of my joints and my blunts. I think it's funny when somebody's what end do I light? I'm the one that looks like a fucking mouthpiece, bro. The other one is sealed shut. Why would that be the fucking mouthpiece? Obviously, that's the side you light. You know what I mean? I even leave a tiny little bit of paper at the tip just so I could seal it. That way if you're carrying it around behind your ear, like in your pocket or something, all the weed ain't gonna fall out, But, I don't know. They don't make them like me no more. Yeah, they do. Fucking, they're stoners getting... People are learning the tricks of the trade every day. You know what I mean? And you gotta, I can't remember who said it, but, in a mad world, you gotta be stoned, And that's the way I feel right now, dude. We're living in fucking America, the reality show. That's how I feel. It's ran by an ex-reality star currently. He's out, firing people. He still thinks he's on the reality show, but he's just running the country. That's what terrifies me. That's what keeps me up at night. But it's not just him. Just the overall chaos, everything that's going on, and even the theories that I dig deep into and shit like that. It all kind of feels like one set season of this chapter book of a series we call America. It feels like we're all tuned in whether we like it or not. Crazier shit just happens every year. You know what I'm saying? I thought we couldn't get a dumber president than George Bush. Fucking happened. In a big way. You know what I'm saying? And now with this pandemic and Trump's wearing a mask, there's pigs flying. I don't know, man. It's a crazy, crazy world out there. The most fucking Kanye West. How about that? He not only announces his running for presidency, but he has a pretty outrageous. I want to say an address or it wasn't even a campaign speech. I don't understand why he didn't have a microphone and do it the official way. It was pretty chaotic. He was allowing people to speak, or whether he allowed them to or not, they were just speaking over him, and he's responding to him, and he's got 2020 shaved in his head, which I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, I got shit in my throat. That's gonna bother me until I clear it. But yeah, I don't know. I like Kanye. I've always liked Kanye. I like his music. He's just one of those people. The more he's given me a look into who he is, the less I've wanted to know about who he is. Because even now he just dropped that "Wash Us in the Blood." That shit's tight. And he dropped another song with Kid Cudi, and I forever love Kid Cudi. So that song was dope. And so Kanye's forever, ever, ever gonna be one of the most legendary hip-hop producers and rappers of all time. All time, hands down, period. You know what I'm saying? If you don't believe that, do some research on hip-hop and Kanye. And all the tracks that he's touched. Because it's a lot, and the dude's credentials go deep. And that's why it's kind of sad, but it's also why I feel like we shouldn't be so dismissive when Kanye's talking. I know, and I don't know why, but the media and Big Brother and everything likes to spin certain people likes to spin headlines and shit that make people look crazy because it unvalidates everything that they have to say. You know what I mean? And while I'm not I can't defend all of Kanye's outlandish statements because, dude comes off the cuff with some pretty crazy stuff. But at the same time, I don't think we should stop listening either and just call dude crazy because that's, ignorantly dismissive. Calling anybody crazy devalues the things they have to say, and that's dangerous, man. When it comes to Kanye, though, he makes it really hard. He makes it really hard to believe him. He makes it really hard to stand up for him. Even as like I said, I'm a fan of his music, and I have been for a long time. And even just seeing the shit, I just put a face over my face palm, and I'm just like everybody else does. I kind of laugh at it, chuckle at it, but at some point we had to be like, damn, is this dude really bipolar, or is this dude really going through it mentally? Are we laughing at this guy's pain right now? Are the Kardashians capitalizing on his fame? She retweeted his I'm running for president thing. Damn well he can't run for president, or he's not going to. And so if this is just a bipolar episode, do you think that she's capitalizing on the juice that he's generating? Here's the big thing, though. To be honest with you, Yeah, Kanye's had his episodes, and he ain't been right since his mom died, and I can kind of empathize with that. That's why for a long time I really kind of was rocking with Kanye, regardless of all the bullshit he was talking. But I think that Kanye now he has to like try to top his antics, because he is like the king of getting free promo and free publicity without paying for it. Like anytime this dude's about to drop some music or like an album, he goes crazy in the limelight. You know what I'm saying? Like that time he like clicked up with Donald Trump for a week and then denounced Donald Trump a week later, said he bamboozled me or whatever. Bro, you were using Donald Trump for hype just like he was using you for hype, or, for African American support. Whichever he was using you for, you allowed him to do that because you were using him in turn. And, like that I can't tell who's playing who, or if Kanye is like all playing games, or if he might not even be playing games. Like what if this is a serious, manic episode he's going through and we're all just kind of like laughing at it, you know what I'm saying? He came out on Twitter and made some outlandish statements saying, the movie Get Out was about me, and Kim was trying to send some doctors to come get me and take me to Washington, so I could be like in the movie Get Out. And how much of that is true? I would like to just like laugh that off, but like, what if he's being for real right now? Like, that is his family, dog. His family is the Jenners and the Kardashians, bro. Like, one, that's either really luxurious and awesome, or two, it's probably chaotic and crazy. You know what I mean? They're worried about the ratings of Keeping Up with the Kardashian next season. They got to have something crazy. And so now he's calling for a divorce because he doesn't want to be medicated. They don't, they've put him in hospitals before, and he comes out like he said in one of his songs recently, that like they don't want Kanye to be Kanye. And it's like, yeah, we kind of do, but we don't at the same time, because every time you show us, you give us a glass window portrait view look into who you are, it makes us be like, all right, bro, just like let us hear your songs, and then that's it, But he didn't really have a whole lot to talk about outside of he was talking about Harriet Tubman. He said some crazy shit about Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. She just had them work for other white people. And like, which is like, like it's true, in a sense, like, because she took them north and they all got jobs, probably working for other white people in the north. But there's the difference between like a job and slavery. And like, you could have like said something like, you could have said something like slavery never ended, talking about like financial slavery. And I think a lot of us would have been on board. I know I would have, as far as like the notion of like financial slavery. And, and it's a big reason why, poorer communities have less, as far as, learning about business and stocks and, all the stuff that it takes to make, substantial money. If you just would have said that, people wouldn't have had a big deal. You had to come out and like say some crazy shit about Harriet Tubman, and then he was really harping on abortion. I know he released some tweets saying that Planned Parenthood are like doing the devil's work, and that he's one of those people that believe like, because there are some crazy statistics surrounding the African American community and abortion. So he was saying that like it's genocide, and they're like giving you the keys, like Kevorkian, like giving you the keys to like kill your own people, and he kind of like broke down a little bit. He was talking about how there was almost no Kanye West because his dad was too busy, and like his mom saved his life. Like his dad didn't want him or whatever. His mom saved his life. And then he cried even more and was like, I almost killed my daughter. He said that a couple times. I almost killed my daughter. he was talking about abortion, you know, but, you know, that's a crazy statement to make, you know, and obviously he broke down crying on that part, and after the videos got released of his little speech, that's when Kim supposedly sent those doctors and wanted him to, I don't know, get admitted into some type of hospital. So now he's pushing for a divorce, you know. Is Kanye crazy or not? You know, like I said, I know he's been through a lot, you know, but he's married to a Kardashian. Look at the trail of broken men that have been left behind the Kardashian and the Jenners. You know, they've ruined more NBA players than the New York Knicks. You know, not to mention, you know, the big swinging dick in the room, Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn, you know. I mean, you know, he was so sick of being Kris Jenner's husband that he fucking decided to be a woman. You know, like that was better than being married to you. You know, I don't know. There's something crazy about that family. Something definitely happens to the men that date and that are married to them. Like, they're not the same after the relationship. And so, you know, Kanye's married into it. Like I said, that's his fam. You know, that's his family. Hopefully, you know, Kanye gets some peace. And, I don't know. I'm just kind of like hoping that this is like all a big publicity stunt. And he's going to drop some fire-ass music that's going to make me all forget about him being him, you know, in this time, you know. Just, I don't know, it's crazy. Crazy to think about, you know, Kanye, the same dude that made College Dropout and, you know, all the great classics that we love, you know, and like I said, the music I still listen to, I'm still a fan. Even his new stuff, I'm still a fan. Like, he's an amazing hip-hop producer, and he's a great artist, and I just, man, it pains me to see him hurting or going crazy. That's why I just hope it's all for show, you know. And on next season of America, you know, he's a big part of that too. You know, he's crazy. He pops out in the limelight, does outlandish shit, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, he's a pillar of a community. Like, people look up to him, you know. I don't know. People in the culture look up to him. Some certain people, you know, and so they're just like, I know somebody's taking him seriously. like my mind won't allow me to take him seriously when he talks like that. But at the same time, like, somebody somewhere is like, yeah, Kanye, yeah, you're right. You know. But another thing that was crazy recently has been these Jump Out Boys. The Jump Out Boys. It's a team of U.S. Marshals, U.S. Marshal Mercenary Squad, essentially, sent out by Donald Trump. And basically, there was still one place, like, popping. Portland, Oregon was still having, like, prominent, you know, numbers, huge numbers of people still out protesting for police injustice and Black Lives Matter. And I think at one point they had even, like, seized, like, a couple blocks where they, like, you know, named it, like, a no police zone or something like that at a certain point. I don't know how long that lasted or whatever. But I think that's where the protesters went wrong, because then, you know, Donald Trump obviously sends in the big guns, and these U.S. Marshals come in strapped like they're fucking fighting, you know, Al-Qaeda in, you know, 2001. They came strapped down like they're going to war, and definitely not dressed like cops, more dressed like military men, and they're in unmarked vehicles, obviously, because they're U.S. Marshals. They don't have to really identify themselves until you're hemmed up anyway. And so they went down there and they arrested a shit ton of people. And basically, if you're out protesting, you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? You're either going to get shot or beaten, or at the very least arrested. You know, I doubt anyone was taken to fucking Burger King the way that fucking racist kid that shot up the black church in South Carolina was treated to fucking Burger King on his way to jail. I doubt any of the protesters got that kind of courtesy, but, you know, I think that we're riding this fine line. It's real dangerous right now. You know, we're all worried about losing our freedoms, and some people are dying on the hill fighting over, you know, they made me wear a mask at Walmart, and it's the worst thing ever, and, my human rights and my body, my choice. What happened to that? And, they don't give a fuck about kids dying. They want to compare wearing a mask to abortion. They want to say my body, my choice. And they're saying it facetiously because none of them actually believe in abortion. Most of the people that are bitching about wearing a mask are right wing, And I think it's funny now. What now that you're Lord Trump, President Cheeto, now that he's wearing masks, what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna follow his guidelines, or you just think he broke the liberal media broke him down to the point where he finally decided to wear the mask just to shut him up. Never mind the fact that over 100,000 people in America have died and are still dying. If you get put on a ventilator, your life expectancy is like 14% or something. Especially right now, if you're in the ICU with other sick people, your immune system shit. Say you got COVID, or say you don't have COVID and you're still in there on a ventilator for something, you're probably gonna get COVID. And it's definitely a vicious cycle. But I don't know, man. The protesters, no matter what you're fighting for, like if you're out protesting masks and you don't want to wear masks, and you guys are out there protesting in the streets for that, cool. If you believe in Black Lives Matter and you're out there protesting for that, cool. I'm down for both, because here's what's up. Whether you agree with the mission or not, whatever the particular movement is at the time, whether you believe in that or not, their right to protest is your right to protest, right? So if people in Portland, and I heard he's sending more of these U.S. Marshal mercenary squads around the country to all major cities. Like I heard, Chirac's next, right? So if you live in these cities and you're protesting, you are now being treated as a domestic terrorist. Also, they're going to publicize you as a domestic terrorist. This all started whenever the riots were happening and he declared war on Antifa. Now, obviously, I don't really agree with Antifa. I'm not at all sticking up for them in the slightest. They're as bad as, the bad cops are to me, just because they stir up the bullshit and they're out there making a protest, a riot, taking away from the actual message, at hand, and it takes away from what they're trying to do, the mission, of a protest. It's just one of those things. I don't know. Like I think like if that becomes illegal, we're in a dangerous place. Like fuck freedom of speech. He's in, and not to mention, not just Trump, but, the government's been wiping their ass with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution for years, over all different things. So, it just doesn't surprise me in the slightest, but at the same time, it's like saddens me to see militarized, like jump out boys go, patrolling American streets and, and potentially pulling up on American citizens just because they're out protesting. Because my thing is, how can you look at a crowd of protesters and pick out the Antifa people? I can no more easily do that than I can if I was looking at a group of police officers and I pick out the quote unquote bad apples. It's impossible to do. So when you put a blanket statement and say, all right, cool, well, like, now I can just because I don't like your political plight, because my thing is, if you catch somebody setting fire to a building or you catch somebody looting, cool. Like, send your jump out boys, like, when they're doing it in the act, and catch the actual people doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, absolutely. But just looking at a group of people and saying, all right, well, we're just going to arrest all of them and sort it out later because we don't know who's who. That's dangerous, because people should be allowed to protest. Like that's I feel like that's an American right, like you should be able to be heard. And the government, Big Brother, and law enforcement, all that needs to remind needs a reminder, where the power is. The power is with the people, and power's in numbers, And I know, like, we've been trained under this, like, authoritarian, like, mindset, trying to, teach us that, like, following the laws and, there's nothing wrong with being a law-abiding citizen, but some of the laws are pretty ridiculous, when laws are structured to, like, turn normal people or people that are out there committing victimless crimes into repeat criminals and felons. And the way the 3-strike policy works, you basically get, 3 chances, and then you start getting, like, harsh sentences, like life. And this is how people get, like, life in jail for a dime bag because they fucked up twice already, and then they get violated on parole or probation. And next thing you know, like, their next stint's 10 years, over a dime bag, because, and then everybody's like, oh, well, look at their priors, though. Like, oh, they're a criminal. I don't give a fuck about that. That's just wrong. And it all goes back to privatized prisons and industrialization of prisons. And that's what it is, because, when you own a business, you have to create customers, and to them, criminals are customers. And, as long as this kind of continues, I'm worried about the state of America. And I know a lot of people aren't worried. Like, they think Trump's, like, fighting for freedom of speech, and he's out there fighting the deep state and all that shit. And I'm telling you, he's a part of it. In my personal opinion, I'll say that just so you don't get too pissed off. It's my opinion, but he's a part of it. I don't know. I don't like to jump out Bois. I don't want to see him here in St. Louis, to be honest. It doesn't make me feel any safer. Especially right now, because I support the protests. And so if you got police out there telling people they can't peacefully protest, or you're just having them arrest people on site because you don't know who's who, that's a dangerous thing. In what country are we living in, really? Is it the land of the free? I don't know. Also, another thing that's been crazy this week. There's that judge, right? So there's a judge, and if I tell it to you like this, you're gonna see it one way. This is how the internet's put it. Thank God this is how the internet saw it. There's this judge, right? And more recently, her name is Salas. Her last name is Salas. And she was appointed to preside over a lawsuit brought to a Deutsche Bank investors. The Associated Press reported that the plaintiffs claim the company made false and misleading statements about its anti-money laundering policies and did not monitor Jeffrey Epstein, who is accused of child sex trafficking, as you all know. And so basically, that's her most recent case, right? And so a guy dressed as a FedEx delivery driver goes up to her door. Now, she's married to Mark Andrel, who is also a criminal defense attorney. Obviously, she's a U.S. District Court judge. Her name is Esther Salas. And like I said, she's married to Mark Andrel. And basically, a guy dressed like a FedEx delivery driver knocked on the judge's door. Salas' son and husband were shot at their home in North Brunswick around 5 p.m. on Sunday. The 20-year-old son was killed while the husband was critically wounded. If I just told you that, you would assume that this hitman, this FedEx mercenary, this FedEx assassin, is connected to somebody powerful that doesn't want certain things getting out about Epstein, or connected to this Deutsche Bank that doesn't want something coming out about Epstein's records, or maybe how much money is there. Maybe they're trying to protect their own business, right? But there's a whole alternate story to this, and it involves the guy that they're pinning on this murder, right? So there's another lawyer, and he is a a male rights activist, and he's an anti-feminist. He is a huge Trump supporter, and he is also a, I think, defense attorney in the state of New York. And his name is Roy Den Hollander. And basically, in a self-published memoir, Hollander called Solace. He was talking about the judge whose husband and son got shot. And I guess those bullets were meant for her. I don't know how the whole thing worked out. I think they said that the husband answered the door, heard the shots, then the kid heard it, ran, the guy shot him, and then ran away, right? But he said in a self-published memoir, Hollander called Salas, who was appointed to her U.S. District Court seat in Newark in 2011, a lazy and incompetent Latina judge appointed by Obama. Obviously, he's a right-winger, hates Obama, he has much disdain for the man, and he has written about it in these memoirs. He's not a dumb man. He attended law school at Georgia Washington University, and whose law office address was listed in Manhattan, first registered as a lawyer in New York in 1987. He really had no record of public discipline, the record shows, so he's never been in trouble for real. Last year, he was the original lawyer in a lawsuit challenging the U.S. military's male-only draft that was heard by Salas, and Hollander was later replaced as the plaintiff's lawyer. So I don't know if she had something to do with him being removed from that case, or if that was the plaintiff's decision, but he was removed as the plaintiff's lawyer, and they say that, Hollander dresses this FedEx driver after he shot him, that he ran. He flees over an hour and a half away, okay? And he kills himself with the same gun that he used in the shooting. So, obviously, they do ballistics and stuff like that. Forensics have a very specific way of figuring out what gun shot what bullet and all that good stuff. But apparently, he drives an hour and a half away and then offs himself in a car. He's also a lawyer. This is all very weird to me. So, this guy obviously has disdain for the judge, and possibly her husband. I don't know how well they knew each other. But colleagues of theirs said that they knew each other well. So he could possibly have motive to do this. And like I said, she's super left-wing, and she's in a position of power and over him in an area that he works as a lawyer. And like I said, he's right-wing, she's left-wing. He's anti-feminist. I'm sure she's a woman in power, so I'm sure she's pro-feminist, and so I'm sure she's judging court cases according to how she feels about things, as anybody probably would. So I think he has just cause to not like her. Whether he has just cause to shoot her or not. I think it's weird that he flees an hour and a half away if he's going to kill himself. It would seem like, all right, well, cool, he's running for an hour and a half away, and then he just offed himself. And it gets deeper, though. Oddly enough, in his publications, he also claims to have ran a Russian federal agency for a while. Said that he lived in Russia, and basically he was the head of a Russian federal agency while he was there. Obviously met his wife, who he claims in his memoirs has ties with the Russian mafia. And he also had, when they searched his computers, he also had encrypted files that say things like, in case anything happens to me and stuff like that. So this guy was wrapped up with some people, and it would appear that he was, at the least, in fear for his life. And I don't know, man. It's crazy. He's also suspected now of shooting another lawyer that happened earlier in the year. So who really knows? Because it sounds to me like dude could have been a patsy at the same time. You know what I mean? It sounds like he obviously had motive and ran away or whatever, but if that kind of takes out the Epstein thing, doesn't it? It seems like all the questions are answered, and it's kind of weird how it all fell into place like that. He ran an hour and a half away and killed himself, and now we're looking at this guy who has super right-wing politics going against a super left-wing judge and her husband, and now he has all these motives. Their colleagues say they knew each other, and it almost seems a little too perfect, because now we're not looking at the Epstein thing anymore. Like now we're not even thinking about what I said initially about her being recently assigned to the Deutsche Bank case, surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's accounts. Now we're not even looking at that. Now we're saying, okay, well, this guy's a Trumper and he's crazy and he killed, this woman's husband or shot this woman's husband and her son, killed their son, who's 20 years old. Now he's dead. And then he runs an hour and a half away and kills himself. I don't know. And you say he killed another lawyer earlier in that year. Like I said, I guess either are possible. I don't know. I thought that was really, really, really odd to me for some reason. I wish this was a more lighthearted episode. I kind of got like real serious on a lot of tips, but it's going back to the police thing I was talking about earlier. It's like another thing I noticed that people were just they're talking about defund the police. It's a big movement now. I definitely believe police brutality is a real issue. Abuse of power in general is a real issue. I believe that since the conception of law enforcement, there has been deep, embedded, systematic racism in all levels of the criminal justice system. And most certainly on the forefront, like not everybody's a model citizen. And people tend to like be afraid of what they don't understand. So if you got people that don't live in neighborhoods, patrolling neighborhoods that they would probably never go in if they weren't working, they don't understand the people that live in that area. And you can't, effectively police a community that doesn't trust you. And you guys both have mistrust issues. You're scared of them, they're scared of you. And it just intensifies everything. Which is why I think we don't need to defund the police. I think we need to, and I know I'm going to get some slack, but I think that we need to increase funding for police. Yeah, hear me out. I think that police, it's a job. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that job. It's a hard job. It really is. It takes like a small handful of certain personality types to do that job effectively and to do it well, like not just anybody can be a police officer, or it shouldn't be, I think that while I'm not going to say it's like easy to be a cop, there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. I know you got to do like a year of training, there's like schooling that you got to do. And I know you got to like work your way up to, an actual position in a department. There's a lot of dues you got to pay, as in any industry you choose, probably. But it's also a really, really difficult job. And it's a shitty job a lot. And it's a thankless job a lot. And it's also a really powerful job. You got a lot of power in your hands. I think Uncle Ben from fucking Spider-Man said it best. With great power comes great responsibility, And the fact that the criminal justice system leans towards, helping police when it comes to allegations against them because, it could happen to anybody when you work every day in dangerous situations, like you could end up pulling the trigger one day and maybe it was the wrong trigger to pull, or maybe it was an impulse decision and it doesn't necessarily reflect on you as a person or you as a police officer. But it was a decision that you made. And here's my thing. We all got to live with decisions in our lives that we make, good or bad. And my thing is, if a police officer murders somebody, I think they should be charged the same way as if I were to murder somebody. Especially if it's caught on camera. And my face is there. I'm smiling at you. How do those people not get prosecuted? And that's my question. So what I'm saying is it's such a high risk job. It's a hard job to do. Only a few personality types can do it successfully. Make it harder to be a cop. We asked lawyers to go to school for 4 years to learn a law that cops learn in 6 to 12 months. And basically they enforce it though. That's the thing. Y'all are the muscle. So whereas like you would definitely want your lawyer to know the law, I would really like, the cops out busting heads. I would like them to know the law too before they bust some heads, or to know the Constitution and to make sure they're not stepping on it and infringing on Americans' rights to do searches and things like that. Because I believe that the way they profile and make arrests is definitely not. It's not just racism. It's classism. It's a war on poverty. Because like they know like broke people's life sucks. It's the bottom of the barrel. They're more likely to do drugs. If you drive a broke down 90s model car and the motherfucker's falling apart, like, I bet this motherfucker smokes weed. If they see you in a tie-dye shirt, I bet, oh, that's a wrap. You're at least getting searched. And it happens on that scale, but 10 times worse if you're just black. Then you get pulled over. You're 10 times more likely to get pulled over. And people that don't believe in white privilege, all I have to say is, I've been pulled over a lot by the police, and not once have I had to worry about my life. Like, yes, I was nervous, and yes, I was scared, and, I didn't want to go to jail, and the two occasions where I had gone to jail, it was a very unpleasant experience. It's not something I would want to go through at all. Again, I'm going to do my best never to do that again, But at the same time, I wasn't fearing for my life. That's the difference, man. Like, the fact that they pulled, like, I get nervous, but, like, this dude's scared for his life. And if you're shaking, then the cop's going to be like, what you shaking for? And, like it just takes one wrong thing to go, on either side, and then, a life's taken. And if we're not holding people responsible for other people's lives, then we just went back to the Wild Wild West. So that's why I think we need to increase funding for local police departments. And at the same time, I think we should demilitarize the police on, I don't want to say every level. I just think that like y'all should be able to SWAT up whenever it's necessary. Like, don't just SWAT up SWAT gear and tanks and shit because y'all got them because you're trying to flex. You want to roll up to a protest, Like, if there's an issue and you guys get called to a scene where there's like shit popping off, then yeah, roll through on your tank and let everybody see how big your dick is or whatever. But like, I just don't think that it's a nation that we want to live in with tanks rolling around and, unmarked fucking U.S. Marshals pulling people off the street, black bagging people and, putting them in fucking Guantanamo and waterboarding them and shit like this. Like, that was an exaggeration, but that's the type of shit that, like, I think about. Like, it's just one step away from having facilities where you're, like, waterboarding protesters trying to get fucking information on Antifa and shit because, President Cheeto said to. I don't know who the enemy is. I don't know who the real enemy is. To me, the enemy is anybody that goes against the American people. Or anybody that's in an office position that isn't working for the American people. Rather, they're working for these corporations. Because the corporations don't give a shit about us on a personal level, on an individual level. We're just ants in an ant farm, to be honest. I would like a politician someday that I have a dream that we get a politician someday that actually cares about the people of America. Like implements laws and regulations that are going to benefit the average working man in America and not corporates, because that's what capitalism has gotten us now. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear that, but it's made money God. So now that money's God, these corporations are our Lord and saviors. They're what we worship. Not only the mighty dollar, but all those logos and the brands and shit that we consume on a daily basis. We worship that shit. And that's what capitalism's gotten us, And I'm guilty of it too, Fucking, I got technology and I enjoy the most latest, bullshit too. I like nice clothes and whatever, but I don't know. There comes a day where like we're gonna lose it all. I'm just rambling and shit, but it's been a good podcast. I'd say we hit that little mark. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm trying to keep it lighthearted. I know I kind of harped on a lot of serious issues today, but coming up on next season of America, can't wait to see it, y'all. Big Booty Podcast, episode 4 is a wrap. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate the shit out of it. More to come. I'm going to try to get some guests up in this bitch. I got a couple potential prospects that I'm looking at. I think I'm just trying to figure out what would be the most interesting conversation so I can deliver y'all some top grade A content for your listening pleasure. I appreciate y'all stopping in. Thanks for kicking it with me. See y'all next time. Stay woke.